And welcome to another episode of More Than Dice. Not a raise back yet. We're on episode 169. I've got myself here and my partial co-host and special guest, Yeji Kim. We're going to be talking about nothing but chibis. So, and here comes John. Hey, who are you again?
I'm John.
That's right. Kathy's on her way back. We may have to do like our booze minute warning like 3 minutes instead of 2. I bet you she went to go potty because she had to ask for a hall pass to go do that. So.
Well, sorry, since I started measuring out my drinks, it takes a little longer.
Oh, it takes a little bit longer. I'm going to open up my gadget. There we go. Make it big and... Here comes Kathy. See her shadow coming in. Are you Kathy?
I am Kathy.
So, guys, welcome to episode 169. Before we get on, let's get all the business out of the way. Of course, we are a creature creator. You will see us paint creature caster models from time to time, especially when the new Judgment stuff starts coming out. I will definitely be painting some of that. Either the new ones or my old ones. Also, don't forget, Snickernack Studios is a sponsor of the podcast. We will give away some of his stuff pretty soon. If I can get some of my mods in there to give a good shout out to Snickernack Studios, I would appreciate it.
Yeah, remember he's streaming now. So
he is, and that's the reason why.
Marky Dan's cool dude.
Yeah, that's the reason why we want to make sure he gets a good shout out. And then also we want to thank Metalhead Minis. Lynn is an amazing woman. She is helping us sell some of our products that we have, which are our dice, measuring trays, measuring widgets, all this other cool stuff. Measuring trays.
Yeah.
Measuring.
Little doodads.
Measuring things.
Measuring
the
things.
Doodads. The gaming doodads.
And then... It's not giving a link to Snickernack Studios. That's weird. And also, we want to thank Muse on Minis for also giving us a cool code and hosting all of our stuff for us to make it a little bit easier on us. If you go over to... not spelled right. If you go over to Muse on Minis and you go to the store, anything you buy, make sure you use More Than Dice, all one word, and you get 10% off of everything you buy. And we get a little bit of back from that. So... and everything that we get goes right back into the podcast, making cool videos, buying stuff for it, blah, blah, blah. Did I get everybody? I need one of my mods to make sure they give a good shout out to Snickernack Studios, which is Yeji's channel that she's a part of, and where she does some streaming and everything also. So, we have a tradition here. Do we have any shout-outs this week, by the way, John? Do you know of?
I think definitely, but not anyone that I remember.
Tony Katane, I heard, passed away.
Yes. I mean,
she was 59, I think, or something like that.
She's most known for being a Playboy Playmate and being on the hood of Whitesnake's car.
Yep.
She was married to David Coverdale at the time, so it's not really a surprise, or dating him at the time, married him eventually.
Yeah.
We looked at his mansion in our questionable real estate stream on my friend's channel a couple months ago.
He seems stranger than you would think, based on what I've heard. But anyways.
His mansion was actually pretty cool. He only had a couple rooms where it got a little, here's my studio of all my me stuff.
That kind of fits.
But I think if you're a musician of any renown, you have to have a room that has all your memorabilia.
Fair.
I'm looking at my room. What? No. By the way, there was also another person, I can't remember her name, but I think Kathy and John, we may be showing our age here. She was the witch from HR Puffin Stuff. So I remember the lady's name. It was Haley. She was 96.
I don't know.
She was 96.
I know what HR Puffin Stuff is, but I have never seen an episode.
I haven't either.
What?
What is that?
This week, because it was on the Saturday Morning Cartoons Greatest Hits CD from the '90s, and I listened to that this week because
I remember the song for it.
Oh, I
It was
remember
the first. It was the very first Croft, Sid and Marty Croft
Yep.
TV show.
This is kind of creepy.
Oh, it is. It was a good old
It's
hippie
creepy.
70s stuff.
Oh man, life-sized puppets. Okay.
Yeah. HR Puff
Oh,
and stuff.
yeah,
Puff
it was a
and
big deal.
stuff.
Yeah. Puff and stuff.
Broadcast in 1969. Wow.
I mean, I was -5.
I was -20.
Yeah.
I want to thank you for that because now I feel old. But luckily,
I was negative on that one too, but
It's okay. My friends do the same thing to me.
someone made a Kojak reference at work, and I had to stop her and go, like, you realize people don't get that, right?
yeah, not many people will.
Do you know what Kojak is, Yeji?
Nope.
Understandable.
Fine.
I don't even blame you.
Fine.
Telly Savalas.
need.
It was a police drama. He's bald. That's sort of the idea.
He was in
Anyway.
Perry Mason as a non-bald person.
Wow. That's
And
weird,
that
'cause
was way
he's
before
bald.
my time too, but they play it on the oldies channel, so for a while I was watching it. I've probably seen almost every episode, and I was like, hey.
Come on, I'm not old. It's not like I saw the Monkees in concert.
I think Columbo is like the oldest, like, police.
They're about the same time,
procedural.
but Columbo's much more popular than Kojak was.
Yeah.
Kojak was much more the hard-boiled
It was
type
more
of
gritty,
beast
yeah.
Yeah, rather than the Columbo bumbling. I'm going to use air quotes on that because he wasn't really bumbling. He wanted
It
you to
was
think he was
quirky.
bumbling.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It was
absolutely.
more quirky than Kojak. Kojak was more gritty.
Yeah. But that fits Telly Savalas.
Mm-hmm.
With that, Yeji, what are you drinking
Yeah.
tonight?
Drinking water.
All right. Kathy, what's on your drink tonight?
I'm having wine. I'm having a red wine.
Ooh, what kind of red wine?
Pinot Noir. No, this one is Cabernet Sauvignon.
Best wine there is.
I
That
only
works.
wish that I had a nice steak to go with it.
Oh, yeah.
And a Yeji to share
Yeah.
it with.
I'm sad because we're having steak tonight, but I have no Kathy.
Aww.
I cannot stare lovingly into your eyes while I eat my steak.
I can see your eyes. You
Y'all
can't
just
see
do
mine, though.
I can't
Dinner
see
date.
yours.
Aw.
Y'all should do a dinner date then with steak.
Well, that's our plan for Gen Con usually.
John, what are you drinking tonight?
Well, I'm going to start off. I have some Suntory whiskey Toki that I bought yesterday because I
Ooh.
want to try something new, Japanese whiskey, and then I'll follow that up with some Captain Morgan's Cannon Blast mix with Dr. Pepper, and I have some water because I've been drinking a lot and I really think I need to hydrate. Fuckers.
As I was saying previous, I do have bronchitis and trying to get over it, so taking a lot of meds. So I'm gonna be drinking water tonight too. So
You're jealous so they can drink alcohol and you can't.
yes,
I
very
see
much
through
so.
you now.
'Cause I have plenty of
You can't
beer
pull crazy
and
eyes.
scotch and whiskey and port that I need to drink, and I can't because I'm
You know what, Gonzo?
sick.
I'm going to enjoy this whiskey extra much.
So, guys, we appreciate y'all coming on stream. We appreciate y'all listening to us on other medias. You can find us on everywhere that you look. So we appreciate you no matter what and how you listen and watch. Be safe out there. Wear your mask. Look out for others. If you see something, say something. Take care of yourself. Cheers.
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 Oh, damn it. It just hits right. I mean, I can feel it just going down, and hold on. I got to take one more then.
Hello, Gonzo. This Japanese whiskey is pretty good.
Yeah, that fucking sucks.
Oh,
So-
yeah, the space debris. Sorry.
Wait, were we supposed to be hit by space debris?
Oh,
I
Thought
mean,
we
they
had a
were-
possibility.
They were saying that it would be Vegas.
Oh, jeez. No space debris?
No,
Well, I mean, the harsh reality is what, like 70-some% of the Earth is covered by water. Odds are it's going to hit water.
Yes. Which space debris are we talking about, though?
Chinese space debris.
Yeah, they launched a rocket and
I thought you said shiny space debris. I'm like, well, and then my brain caught up with my ears.
Sorry, I've been drinking since 10:30. My words might slur a little bit. I will try to do better.
It's fine. My brain also.
I'm also drinking straight whiskey right now, which is probably not the best call I've ever made.
Maybe not, but we'll
But I
roll
made
with
the call.
it.
Cheers.
We'll roll with it.
Yeji,
Yes.
this is not the first time you've been on the show.
No.
This is your second time, but this is your first time solo, because you were with the All Ladies of Painting stream that we
No,
did.
she's been on here just with you and I before.
Yeah.
Oh, was it just you? Was there?
It was you, me, and Yeji. And
Dang.
we just talked about stuff and things.
Socialized.
Yep.
So, give us a background, who you are, what Snickernack Studios, blah, blah, blah. Give us everything you can about yourself so our people know exactly who you are and how they can live vicariously through you.
So my name's Yeji. I am one half of Snickernack Studios. Clint and I run Snickernack, but I'm pretty much the face of it. We've been around since 2015 as Snickernack. I've been painting since 2011, and then we had a big 3 or 4 year hiatus. I painted for 6 months in 2011, and then we had a hiatus because we moved, and so 2015 we kind of started taking painting more seriously. And then 2019, I went full-time with painting miniatures as my main commissions are my main source of income, but I also teach at conventions, do online classes, whether one-on-ones or groups. I'm an enabler of all things hobby related, whether that's art in the form of makeup or art in the form of miniatures. So yeah.
Question for you.
Yes.
When you started painting, you were just automatically really, really good with it and just came second nature, right?
Yes. No. I mean, I have an art background, so my dad's an artist, so I've done art since I was little, and whenever I could hold a pencil. But 2011, I started because our group was like, do you know what Warhammer 40,000 is? And we're like, no, what is that?
So they dumped you at the deep end.
Yeah, pretty much. And then I decided that gaming really wasn't for me because I would be a rules lawyer and, I would be playing with people that played Warhammer for 3 years and they still didn't know the rules. And I'd be like, page, 92, paragraph 3, that's where it says this.
Oh, so... you were that guy.
No. She's playing with average players who don't know the rules. They learn it from someone else. They just fucking roll dice and do stuff.
Somebody said, page this, but then I would also want to look it up so that I could read it for myself because it would stick in my brain better. So, it always annoyed me, and we'll just change in here. It always annoyed me when somebody would tell me what the rule was, and they would be trying to say it off the top of their head, verbatim, or however they interpreted it. And then they would get offended if I wanted to look it up so that I could read it for myself, just because words, reading them sticks in my head better.
So,
Yeah.
To be honest, Kathy, we learned 2 page numbers always when we were in the bunker in Glen Burnie, when people came up and asked us veteran players questions. If it was fantasy, they had a nice index. We gave them the page number of the start of the index. If it was 40K, they had a good table of contents. We gave them the page number of the table of contents. Those are the only numbers we learned. And you know what? It solved 99% of the rules questions.
Oh.
But there were always people I was playing with who would be impatient for me to, to look up a rule if I had a question, and they would try and tell me what it was, and I'm like, but I'm new. I just need to look this up.
Yep.
For myself.
Yeah, mine was the other way. They were wrong, and I would prove me right, and so I didn't have fun. They didn't have fun. But yeah, and so I thought like within our painting group there, I thought I was the best, and then we found chest of colors, and we found other online resources, and we're just like crap, like we aren't the best. We're actually like bottom barrel tier.
That's exactly how we started too. Amongst our friends in our Blood Bowl league, we were the best. But then when we looked at what other people were doing and we discovered cool mini or not, is like, oh wow, I really suck.
Oh no.
Yep.
Oh no. Here's my Gabby. I've been painting since 1994-ish. Y'all are way better than me. You started way after. It's okay though, because I mean there is some talent involved in it and artistic background. I do not have an artistic background. I have a more of a math tactical background.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. I did have a lot more drawing and painting in me, just like Yeji, in
It's
my
all good.
background.
I like that some people come in and they have an inherent talent that is cool. My ex-roommate, Creekin, actually really started off. Her first model was better than the stuff I was painting, after however many years when she started. I'm like, that's great. That's awesome. Keep going.
I know people who want to better their miniature painting skills and they take actual drawing classes or painting classes, whether it's online or at a community center or someplace. So that's always something for people who really want to better their miniature painting skills and don't have an art background, but go and find a drawing class somewhere online or otherwise, or a painting class, because it will help.
Yeah,
And you
will.
may suck at first just with that too, but they will teach you other tools.
I learned a lot just from hanging around awesome painters like you and Yeji. So, just absorb it all. I may not be able to use it all, but I absorb it all. I know it all. Just can't necessarily implement it all.
Yeah, there's a lot, like there's a little bit of talent possibly involved, but a lot of it is skill, and skill can be learned. So don't ever like be like, oh man, my stuff sucks. Like this is just like a general thing to everyone, right? Like, don't be like, this sucks. Like I can't paint, worth a crap. I'm gonna break my brushes. Like, don't do that.
Just get better with every model. Just get better. I feel like I get a little better with every model. Kathy complimented me on one of the things I painted. She's like, every time you post a picture, I thought you were done, and then you just kept going further.
Yeah, and it was getting better and better. Yeah.
I mean, that's all good.
Question for you, Yeji, since being a commissioned painter and doing a lot of teaching classes, how has COVID been for you this last year?
Rough. It's been rough. So commissions wise, it hasn't been that rough because I think people have been taking the stimulus checks and actually putting it towards like, oh, hey, let's support an artist that I really like. So I haven't really gotten less on those. It's the teaching portion where it's just there's no conventions.
Yeah.
So there was nothing, and I hadn't really advertised a lot of my teaching like one-on-ones and group things because I was struggling mentally a bit through all of it. So like it just that was pretty hard.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of people, a lot of commission painters. They were like, the commissions haven't gone down, but the classes just they've been able to do it because you can't go anywhere. And even they were trying to do like online stuff, and it's just not the same. People are like, I'm here to support you, but it's just not the same. And I'm like,
it's tough.
It is. So, all right. So I'm going to switch over to the painting cam, and we'll talk about my miniature. You'll have to look on stream to see it and everything. Gonzo paints and everything. And so we're going to talk about Chibi, what is Chibi, blah, 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 and go through everything of Chibi.
Oh, man.
So.
All things Chibi, eh?
Chibi.
Yeah. That's usually what I name my class. All things, everything Chibi. All things, everything Chibi. Like, it changes every once in a while, but...
Totally spaced on that.
All right, so I've got this model, and this is the one that I was going to work on. It's my first model my first chibi that I've ever painted. Because I have no desire really for chibi stuff, for the most part. So what is a chibi
Why are
model?
you echoing all this? Oh, it's your camera just changed.
What is a chibi model?
So a chibi model is usually something that is it's considered a chibi if it has a big head. So usually the head size is anywhere from half to a third of the model. It's denoted by very big eyes and a lot of broad spaces where you can blend. So like the face will be less structured than most other miniatures. It'll be more broad expanses. And then the clothing usually is a little less detailed. It's a little smaller. And then usually its main focus is the head, eyes, and hair.
Well, this one has big eyes and a ton of hair.
Yep.
So this is the Bride of Frankenstein.
We also have a Bride of Frankenstein.
You got the actual size. I went and supersized mine.
I like that. I like how you've prepped it too.
Well, I messaged Yeji and says, okay, what do I got to do to get this model ready for stream so we can paint it and we can talk about it and everything? And she goes, Zenithal. And I was like, Zenithal? That's not going to work for me.
Look at mine, how I've done it.
I forgot to move my camera.
You can see how I have done my bride. All I've done is slop some oil paint, a dark color, on it.
So
that was my mixture of Egyptian violet and yellow.
So I did a quick prime, and then I did a quick dry brush zenithal.
You did the half-ass zenithal, is what I like to call it.
Yep.
That's what I call it, my half-ass zenithal.
Because we're probably going to do some half-ass painting, too.
Fine.
Because I thought, what we really could do to make it really, really easy is the hair is black. I want to paint this traditional type of, color scheme.
Except for the little white. So you can paint around those little parts where it...
Yeah, this little thing right here. Because is chibi painting different than regular painting? Like regular miniature?
It can be. Because there's a couple different styles you can paint that into. Like, you can paint it normally like you would, regular base, shadow, highlight. Or you could go super blended or super textured too. Or you could do the cell shading style. So cell shading, as we see in like anime, is where it has just the different delineations of where shadow is to where a highlight is, and no blending in between. So like comic book style almost. Mm-hmm. So there's different styles that you can go with. Like there's no real right way. Cell shading, though, sometimes does look a little wonky from close up, just because it's a forced perspective. So when you're like looking at it up close and like moving the model around, you're just like, that doesn't look quite right. And that's because it's a forced perspective. But yeah, you can do kind of whatever you want with it. The main reason why I have, especially newer people to Chibis, paint in, or prime and zenithal, is because with Chibis it's a little bit harder to see where the highlights go, especially like in the face area. So when you have a zenithal prime going on, you see kind of where the highlights are. So I usually tell people to take a photo of where that's at, and then you kind of know where to place highlights better.
Okay, so the hair's going to be black. So I looked at a colorized version, because of course the movie's in black and white, and someone had colorized a version. And her lips are a very bright red lipstick lip. Her eyes, of course, are human eyes. Eyebrows are a black. But this one has a very swooping upper eyelid, which would be, a typical chibi type style. Skin is normal, peach, type skin. Her dress and her bandages are white. I didn't find out what the little bandages for where the cuts are and stuff, what those color would be, but I figured they'd be type of white too. So, and of course, black hair and the white wavy line up on top. So, can I do contrast paint black hair?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's do that. John has a thought on chibis, and he has actually come to the conclusion that the American version of chibis are Funko Pops. Do you agree or
Yeah.
disagree?
I agree.
Okay. Which I agree with him too. I just never really thought about that until,
Here's Vince. That's pretty much what it is.
it is. But I never really thought about that because where did chibis originate from?
Originally from Japan. And there's a couple of ways that people say that it came from. I like to think of it because some people say that chibi is from the word like super deformed.
Mm-hmm.
But it really is like a Japanese slang word for something like short, something cute. It's just it usually, like in Japanese, it just means small. It's slang for small or short. So when other people say that it's like, oh, it's super deformed, like I don't like that connotation of it, even though technically it is. Like you're exaggerated with the big heads and the small bodies, usually like chubby or like stumpy limbs and stuff. But yeah, I mean, I guess you could say
super
it's
deformed is sort of like the original term for it that Americans coined before the chibi term came over, because everyone called it super deformed for years before I heard the term chibi.
Huh.
So I think that's probably more likely what it is. Some stupid American term for what the Japanese would have called chibi from the beginning, probably.
Yeah, that's probably what it was. But like I've always known it as chibi because I'm a weeb, so.
Well, I am old and remember back when it was called super deformed. I was like, that's a weird name for it, because you saw like anime, lots of anime mecha mostly early on in that sort of chibi style, and everyone called it super deformed because there was a Gundam series or something that they translated as super deformed, which was weird. I always thought it was a weird title for it.
Yeah, I remember the Gundam, and they still make them, the super deformed Gundams.
Yeah, chibi's a much better word. Super deformed sounds negative as fuck.
Yeah, and I think with mecha, it makes a little bit more sense though, because like it's deformed from the proportions of mecha. But like, yeah, when you give it to like people, like when you say that to things that resemble people, like I just think that's a little too negative for my taste.
Absolutely, yeah. Like I said, I'm pretty sure it's an early term for it, and we should probably just throw that in the bin.
Dropping my paintbrush. So with the chibi stuff and everything, you teach a lot of classes on chibi. Why chibi and not like traditional paint? What's the fascination with chibi for you?
So, first of all, it was my first class to teach ever. So it's one of those that it's kind of like near and dear to my heart. Back in 2016, when I first got into paint or to teaching at conventions, I kind of felt like it was, and I still have it sometimes, the imposter syndrome. So it's just kind of near and dear to my heart because the first time I was painting chibis in class, I was like, so this is, and I'm like trembling like this, going, this is how you line the eyes, and like it's all messed up, and I'm like, it's okay, you can clean it up later. So it's one of those things, as well as I kind of got into, so there was a crossover between what is Soda Pop, now Ninja Division. So Soda Pop at the time had a crossover with Kingdom Death, and they had their first chibi out. After that model, I just kind of fell in love with chibis a little bit more because since I was younger, like I always loved drawing eyes, and I love that chibis give you so much room to put expressions and emotions into your miniature that's just static. So I love chibis. Yeah, so like I think that's the main thing, and that's kind of why I have my Chibi class kind of at every convention that I teach at, and because it also Chibis have such a bad rep, I think, in the mini community, where everyone's just like, I don't like them, I don't like them. Though, oh,
Miniatures
they're
for
just
serious business.
yeah, I know. And so like, but then when people are introduced into actually painting the chippies, they're just like, oh man, like I never realized that this is actually pretty hard to paint because you have to put so much emotion into the eyes. And there's a lot more broad areas that people are like, oh, like blending this is actually a lot harder than I thought. So yeah, I just like them because of that.
That was always the daunting thing about Super Dungeon Explorers. All their models are pretty much chibi, and it was
Hmm.
like, holy crap, this is like a whole new thing. I'm not sure how to
Mhm.
paint these.
Yeah, like I love them. And then people like once they get to painting one, it's either like a you know that you're not into them, you're just like, yeah, like that was cool, I learned a new thing and I'm gonna put some of these things that I learned in the chibi class onto my regular models. Or you get the other side where it's like, oh my gosh, this was so fun, I'm gonna be printing them, I'm gonna buy the whole lot of Super Dungeon. Like there's one or the other for chibis, I think.
Absolutely.
The last ReaperCon we were at together, uh, where we were hanging out at Fort Wapple, was the first time I had painted a chibi. That was the Nona, the fox
Yep,
girl
yep.
from Midnight Heroes,
Uh-huh.
and yeah, I had a blast with that. I only got the half-ass Zenithal done on it during the convention. I had to finish the rest of it at home after, but man, I was the person who was like, "Oh my God, this is so fun. I want to paint more chibis."
Uh-huh. I was surprised back then too. I was just like, wait, how have you not painted one of these? Why?
Yeah, because I love cute
Hmm.
stuff and creepy cute stuff. Just like, yeah, the creepy cute. Like these monster ones.
Yeah.
I love, 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 love.
Yep. Yeah, these ones are from Celia Miniatures. And there's they do such a good job. Like there's Celia that's been doing a lot more chibi now, Hyper Minis, um Capsule Chibi from Heriberto, which like who um creates a lot more chibis for different lines too. Like they're all just I'm like I'm so impressed. Like I can't paint these fast enough to paint more of them.
Well,
Oh,
plus we noted like the Marvel United line that they have.
Yep.
And I thought about getting some of those and using those for Marvel Crisis Protocol just to be silly.
Yeah,
Because
some people have been doing that. Like I've been looking at some of the Marvel groups and they're like, "Yeah, these are has anyone seen these? Like I'm doing these for this and blah blah blah." And I'm like, "Yes, more
and,
chibi power."
and luckily Marvel United don't like tactical rocks, so I love them because I love tactical rocks.
Slam, but
I really hate tactical rocks. It cannot be said enough.
yeah, that's
True.
a pretty big one.
But yeah,
there.
there's also the different companies have different looks to them too. Like Soda Pop, and Capsule Chibi and Midnight Heroes and all of those guys have more of the anime-ish look. Versus like Simon usually has like with Arcadia Quest a more of the Western type of look.
Yeah, they're
Uh,
almost not chibi because they're almost normal proportion.
Arcadia Quest, I mean, yeah, I
It's a little bit
guess.
exaggerated heads, but it's much closer than like Super Dungeon Explorer, which I feel would be the main competitor to that.
Yeah, and I think that that's why I say that, like, I still put them in the chibi category just because they are a
Absolutely.
little bit more exaggerated, but that's why I said they have that cartoony, like, Western feel to it versus the anime feel.
Yeah, absolutely.
Definitely, yep. Yeah.
All right, so almost got the hair, quick done, except for the
Yeah, I
little.
like So for me, I usually start with the skin, like do a base coat of skin, then finish the eyes, because for me, I can't I can't leave the miniature staring at me with these dead like voids.
Oh,
What?
it drives people nuts, and I do that all the time because I know it bugs them. I leave the dead voids. I love it.
I can't do that. And plus, like, if I make a mistake or anything, I can always clean the eye area up with the skin. So that's why, like, and especially when I first started, like, that's kind of where I did. And now it's not as, I mean, I've just done so many chibis that it's not as big of an issue. But, like, even on regular miniatures, right? Like, I always start with the eyes so that I can clean that up if I need to.
Hmm.
Plus, that's a standard way of painting a model. Start with the deepest portion, in which case it would be the eyes, then skin, and then clothes, and then hair. I mean, miniature painting 102, basically.
Or you're Kathy, and you just want to be an asshole.
I mean, that's fine.
And be like, look at the dead eyes on these models. Does this bother you?
Does this
Yes.
bother you?
Excellent.
Rules for those who don't,
Sweet.
who are getting into it. For those of us who are doing it for a while, we paint it in whatever order we feel comfortable.
Yeah.
Because we know our limitations.
Yeah.
But
That's
I
good.
mean, it's Kathy.
Yeah.
Kathy and Jim just like have their own rules.
Indeed. Kathy rules. Correct, Captain Miji. Hashtag Kathy rules.
Aww.
That's a double entendre because it's Kathy rules and Kathy rules.
That's like being nice to me, though.
I mean, aren't I always nice to you? Question mark?
Yeah, you are. You
Okay.
are.
Gonzo's the asshole.
I'm the asshole.
Which is a rare change because normally John's an asshole.
Right?
I mean, I don't know what's going on.
Usually. I
All
like
right.
my John, though. He's the best John.
Oh, the other thing with chibis that like I do tend to do, and I tend to do this with any miniature, is I like bright, bold colors. But especially with chibi, I like brighter colors as well because their heads are so big and like their clothes. Like if you put them into muted colors, they kind of fade into the wayside and or like becomes kind of mushy. Like it's just a head sitting on top of a pile of mush. So in order to differentiate that, I do tend to use brighter colors for that.
Okay, so like most of this model, if we go by the basic paint scheme that they have, she's wearing a white robe with white bandages. I did a little bit, I should say, more white on the bandages. So I was going to do just to get it quick on there, because I do want to get to the skin, is just do a quick contrast apothecary white on the bandage just to see how it looks like. Because if not, I can just also use my white ink I have and see what this is. Because
Yeah,
her
I
skin...
usually just try to tint the shadows a little bit differently, even though it's like the same white, you know?
Yeah. So let's see what this is going to do. So the big kicker on chibi models, like you said, is the big eyes. And I know that is a big, I won't say issue, but a big challenge for a lot of people is painting the big eyes. How do we go, I mean, what's your theory, your crafting? How do you go about painting chibi eyes?
So it kind of starts with the eyeliner portion, right? So what I usually do is I will fill the sclera part. So I'll fill the big eyes with just white first. Or like a slightly off-white, kind of like a cream. You don't want to go too off-white because you don't want it to look like it is, to look like it's jaundiced or whatnot.
You don't want a sick chibi unless it's supposed to be sick, is what you're saying?
Yeah. So I usually put the white in first, and then you know how there's the like most chibis, as you can see with the one that Gonzo has right now, it's already deep set, so it's not like you have to draw on like the whole area of the eye. It's already pre-sculpted there for you. So what I'll do is I'll hook my brush right underneath where that ridge is, and I'll just follow that ridge to put eyeliner in. I don't do it all the way because it'll lead to raccoon eyes. So what I'll usually do is, where's my pencil? Where's my pencil? I have a post-it here. So what I'll usually do is, if you have the eye area like so, right? It's
Yep.
dotted.
Hold on. Let me take your camera. Full
Make it
screen.
big.
All right, there we go. All right, we
So,
got you.
Yep, like so. So this one is the right eye. Okay, when you're looking at it on the model. So when I do that, I will usually take and line that top portion, and I'll kind of give it like a little cat eye, like that top.
Go down just a little bit.
Yep.
Okay, got it. Which is kind of what this model already has. It already has that cat eye on it.
Yep.
You're reinforcing that shadow.
Mm-hmm. And then I line a bit of the bottom eye, whether it's just like here, or you can connect it all the way up if you would like to, or bring this portion down just to make it shadowed a little bit. So it just depends on what kind of a look you want. If you want it to be like a smoky eye, then bring it all the way down. But I usually leave this part open. So I don't usually put any black liner on there. And you can do that with any color too. Like if you want a softer eye, go with a dark brown. If you want to go, with a dark blue, you can too. I just like using black.
Okay, so let's talk about this model I have right here. And it already has, aka the tiger eye eyelash on it.
Mm-hmm. So
right
then
here.
you'll follow that, and then you'll fill that eyelash in too.
So you're going to paint this black?
Yes.
Okay. Where's my?
So I wouldn't go all the way, because you see that there's like a little gap behind or on top of the eyelash, and like the crease of the eyelid.
Yeah. So no black up in here, just this part right here.
Yes.
Okay. Give me a second. Get some good old black in here. For also the regular paints I'm using, I really am liking the Pro Acryl, which he will be at Warfare Weekend, by the way.
Nice.
Again.
He as in Jason Craze of Monument.
Yes, Jason
Hobbies.
Craze of Monument Hobbies. He is actually going to be sponsoring all of our paint classes. Every single paint class will have a set of his paints to use.
Fabulous.
He's also
snap.
He's
awesome.
also providing a set of paints for people to use in our hobby lounge, and is giving $100 gift card to a store for the best 40K army.
Nice.
Cool.
Nice.
That's really impressive.
Yeah, Jason is hooking us up this year.
That just means I gotta get used to his paint more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yeah, it makes me want to go out and get some of his paint and be supporting the hobby like that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
He's really hooking us up.
We have a set of his paints because Clint, we have different painting stations now because we moved and whatnot. And we have a huge loft where we have all our painting studio stuff. But I haven't made the switch over because as a commission painter, I'm just like I don't want to have to learn a new paint line because
it detracts from your actual doing your work.
Yeah.
While you learn how that paint interacts with other paints and how it looks the way you want it to look.
But otherwise, there's a couple colors that I use from it very often, like the faded ultramarine and their jade is fantastic. But for the most part, the other paints, I'm just I don't want to have to learn the properties of each individual one.
I
just
buy new paints and do it live, but I'm mediocre.
It's just I've gotten used to you get used to what you like as a glaze consistency, what you like as a certain other consistencies, and you're just that's
we all have comfort paints. Comfort paints that we like to use.
And that's just how fast you get by over the years of painting, like when people start painting, I tell them paint as many minis as possible, because then you're going to learn how you like your paints. You're going to have muscle memory as far as like when you're trying to line something, you know, and that's how you get your techniques faster, is just by painting a lot more.
As a hobby streak guy, I would suggest paint every day. I've been doing my hobby streak for, I have to do math, 1,200 and something odd days. And it really helps, even though, you know, some of it's assembly days, but just painting, I feel like I've gotten a lot better just by painting consistently.
Yeah, that's
absolutely
impressive.
Because you remember, the more often you do it, the more you remember those little things that you learn that you don't even realize you learned.
Like
Mhm.
enough of these crap brushes I've been using for years, get some new brushes. That's what I learned.
That can help, yeah.
Yes, I bought some on Saturday.
I did just spill my tea, so I'm over here wiping it up.
Hey, Bio, how's it going? That's one of my MechWarrior Online buddies.
Okay, so you say
Silencer, welcome.
paint the entire eye white. Is that what you said?
Mhm.
Paint the entire eye white. Okay. I gave her some really, really dark eyelashes.
No,
Yeah.
look good, actually, I
I
think.
didn't glaze it at all. I was like, fuck it.
Fuck it. I mean,
Do you guys have a code to Monument?
No.
no, we don't. No.
We are not a sponsor of them. They don't sponsor us. I just really like their paints.
I use their brushes a lot too, so that's why. And their brush soap.
The brushes are good too, and the
Mhm.
brush soap. Yeah.
Really? Well, that's in my wheelhouse, because I'm looking for more good brushes. I had to, I forget what company this was from, but I had to buy a thin dry brush to do She-Hulk's hair, because I didn't want to mess up everything I've already done with it. So I'm always looking for good dry brushes and regular brushes.
Oh yeah, they make good brushes. I got a set of their brushes too.
But I have a code too if you guys want it.
Also,
For
Yeah, spill the code.
percentage off.
Put it on
Snickers.
Yeah.
put it up there. And put
Code
it in chat.
Snickers.
Use the Snickernack code for ordering
yes.
off of Monument Hobbies.
Which
Great
is Monument
paints, great
Hobbies.com.
brushes, great brush soap.
Oh, let's do this quick.
Helping a really cool dude.
I forget what percentage off you get. Like off the top of my head, I'm just.
Some kind of discount.
Yeah,
That's all you need to know.
it's a Sunday. My brain isn't all here.
Fine. We're casual here.
Their racks look pretty good. Their monument racks look pretty good. I had to clarify
Yeah,
that.
they got damn nice racks. Very sexy.
Hi, Patty. I'm trying to account for the fact that I am
You're welcome.
drunk.
Oh, you should listen to during the week when Kathy is on. Oh, it is nothing but sexual innuendos 24/7.
Wow. They have
That's-
the seam scraper too, which looks pretty cool, and that is a
Not
tool
deny
that
that.
you should have.
I mean,
Oh,
we've already,
yes, the
we've
seam
already
scraper,
determined. We've already determined that Kathy is 12, so you know.
Sure.
Yes.
Sure.
I'm also 12, but you know.
That's why we get along so well.
Indeed. I just understand my current predicament and trying to compensate for it. I should not have gotten an extra drink, but I'm still going to drink.
Got drank.
I
Love
mean,
you.
I actually really like their hobby go bags. Actually look really cool too.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They might work well with the God damn it, Mini Masterworks Kickstarter thing that we're going to be getting eventually.
Oh, yes.
Sorry, words are hard.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I got it.
Words hurt.
Sunday.
I've looked at these before. The Bombwick brushes. Those are
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
I
So
guess I
the
haven't used
handles,
them yet.
the handles denote different material that they use, but I like their red ones too. The red handles. Those are their sables.
Oh yeah, I mean, I have one sable brush that is super legit. I use it very infrequently because I don't want to up. But I probably should use it more often and just buy a new one because.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. That's what they're for, is to use.
What?
Yep.
I am used to being poor hobbyist, not, have a reasonable job that I get paid a reasonable amount for and can buy stuff. Take some time to realize that shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Even though I just buy stupid stuff on a whim, like, oh, hey, Happy Apps Battletech models.
But
Thank you
get
for
their
that,
brush
by the
goop
way.
though. Their unicorn brush goop, which I always say that it's unicorn poop.
Well, I still have a bunch of this.
The Masters.
Of course.
The only reason why I don't like the Masters anymore is that it has an abrasive in it, so it actually goes through my brushes a lot faster than the unicorn poop does.
Do you think it's better for synthetic bristles than for sable, the Masters?
I think so. Or if you're using more heavy duty like acrylic, like the artist grade stuff,
Mhm.
and the pigments are bigger, I think it'll help. Yeah,
That
it
tracks
helps more there.
because I feel like it did better with the old GW tank brush and some of the dry brushes than it does with some of the smaller brushes that I have. Interesting. Well, we'll be placing an order shortly. Just not gonna do it while here, because
I just got my shoulder to crack.
that happens all the time. Wait till you get older. I'm sorry. Hold on. Eric cracked again. Yep, still. Every time. I don't know what's wrong.
I
Doctors
don't crack, they crunch.
Mine does sort of snap, crackle, and pop sometimes. It doesn't hurt, which is the best thing ever. When you have a weird thing like that and it doesn't hurt, you're like, it doesn't hurt. I ain't worrying about it.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And I'm
Yeah,
just having
see,
fun with
like-
oils over here.
With white like that out onto the face, like I don't worry about it, and people are always like, but you have to be all careful and gentle and stuff, and I'm like, no, you can always clean that up. Plus
Yep.
you're gonna put highlights right underneath the eyes anyway, so it just makes that area lighter for you to not cover up with the base
Dr.
flesh
Rhino.
color.
I would say, in my
Okay, Dr.
personal
Rhino.
experience, while you absolutely can clean it up, if you practice your brush control all the time, you will get better, and that is how you get fast. I've seen Dave Taylor paint. Brush control. I don't have a lot of it, but when I get a model and I have it better, the model goes so much quicker.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna let those eyes dry for just a little bit because it was a little too wet. But I wanted to show some Chibi stuff that I got, that I did 3D print, which I really want to paint up because I think they're just as cool as shit. It's probably gonna be really freaking hard to see. Let me see if I can turn this camera.
Oh yeah, because it's super white.
Yeah, let me turn this one down. This was one of the
There you go.
dioramas, and it was Miles Morales and Rhino.
Okay, I can see it now.
Yeah, the head is really got really small details, so it's hard to see. But you got the Miles Morales and then Rhino on the base. Really cool diorama. But this
that's really
one,
cool.
which I have to put together, this is the base, and this is like explosions, and then
Explosions.
there are a ton of. You got the little holes all through it, and there's a ton of Dr. Octopus arms that come all around it. And hanging off of one of the arms is, of course, Spider-Gwen.
It depends.
Spider-Gwen does whatever a Spider-Gwen does.
I really want to get that model from Marvel Crisis Protocol, but I'm a little worried to paint it because it's white and black, and that's going to be a challenge.
I mean, if you go grays, it's not that bad.
I went a sort of gray with She-Hulk here, and just white for some highlights, but
Mhm.
up close you can really tell, but I think further away it looks a lot better. You can sort of highlight, like you should, sort of extreme highlighting. No, see, Captain, the explosions are generally okay because they're appropriate to the terrain the model is already on. My problem with tactical rocks stems from the fact they put rocks in like a sci-fi game when they might be on a fucking city street, or just random rocks on the middle of a city street for Marvel Crisis Protocol models because they're not a fucking city street. You don't need a rock. You like Vision, he's got a brick wall. Brick walls belong to city street. There are brick buildings. It's fine. Explosions, cool. There are explosions everywhere because it's a fucking comic book fighting miniatures game, for fuck's sake. It's just the fucking rocks.
But what about exploding rocks and leaping off of exploding rocks and you're
Are you
flying
talking
off
about
of
Quicksilver? Fuck Quicksilver, man. So I do have it by good source that they have to do something special for the bases when, in every case, they can. So they are contractually
They just don't
obligated-
have a lot of imagination for it.
like, fuck. I mean, every time I think it can't get worse, it gets worse. It's like
Sorry,
Quicksilver, like,
guys.
that's kind of shit, but we can get by that. That's okay. We can cut it
You
off.
can,
We'll put 'em on
yeah,
the
you can cut
ground.
them off, yeah.
Then you get like what's the next
Domino.
one? Domino. Like, for fuck's sake, that base is just stupid. But it's okay. You can cut her off and put her on the ground. But then
But
you're
I
like,
mean,
ahead.
like that Deadpool one though, that's pretty epic.
that's epic, appropriate for the character, and it feels like you could take him off and put him directly on the base, and it would be okay. then
Have you
it-
seen Drax though?
Drax. I don't recall Drax off the top of my head.
So Drax has a little tiny rock under one of his feet.
I mean,
Yeah, which is really, really bad.
it's so Miss Marvel, the new one, the Camilla Khan has just a rock, and she's staying pretty stagnant. Other than that, and I'm like, for fuck's sake, really, you had to put a rock under her foot? Just have her standing on the base or do something dynamic.
Have her standing on both her feet. It's not a bad thing. Having a model standing on
So-
both its feet. It's not bad.
So you can see, Sabretooth comes with tactical rock, but mine does not have tactical rock because I have fucking defeated it. Same with Wolverine. I took Wolverine off his
John has defeated the tactical rock.
tactical rock. He's standing on the curb. It works fine. This is a good way to do it. You can take it off. It works fine. Ant-Man. Ant-Man has tactical rocks, and I got rid of him. I mean, little Ant-Man, it's okay because he's a little Ant-Man. Oh my god. But it's like, who the fuck designs their models? Iron Fist. I love Iron Fist. My buddy Marshall loves Iron Fist. And Iron Fist has got this fucking sock puppet fucking dragon fisty bullshit, and it just doesn't
I like
look
sock
good.
puppets.
I
What are
like
you
sock
saying?
puppets too, but not
Are you
like
disparaging sock puppets?
in this case. Yes,
Hmm.
sock puppets. For your super dragon forcey punchy shit. The Iron Fist is not okay.
What time is it?
Then you get the other ones. Gonzo mentioned it on Captain America, aka the Falcon. But Sam Wilson, Captain America. His wing is attached to the base, and there's like a tactical explosion there, which is fine, but it's a really thin piece. And like Scarlet Witch has got all these energy things. Super cool, super flavorful. But it's a little thin fucking energy thing on the base. It's going to fucking break.
Yes.
Damn it.
Okay. So, the eyeballs. Do you teach just a class just on the eyeballs? Painting
So-
eyes, because I can tell that's going to be a problem for me.
That's most of my class. So when I teach the Chibi class, it's mostly focusing on the eyes and the hair.
I figured as much because I'm looking at this and I'm trying to get a really good white, and of course white, it's because you want it like smooth and clean because eyeballs and stuff. But when you're painting the eyeball, so I got the automatic arty brow on there type thing, and she looks already creepy as it is. Look, Kathy, look creepy.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Oh.
So with
Type
that
thing.
eye, like you want it to be looking kind of more straight on, right? So with it straight on and looking at how our eyeballs are, right? A lot of people just want to go in and straight put in like a circle in the middle of the eye.
All right, hold on.
Right?
I'm gonna make you the center of the screen. Okay. Show us your artwork.
So a lot of people will try and just do kind of like this.
Yep.
And that's not the way to go because that's kind of a surprised eye. And if you want a surprised look on a mini, sure, that's cool. But because of how even when we look at our own eyes, right, a third of it's kind of hidden, like the color part, the pupil
Mhm.
part, right? It's hidden with, or iris,
Yeah.
whatever. It's hidden with our eyelid, right? So what we want to do is we want to go in and we kind of want to create a U shape or like a semicircle shape. So what I like to do is kind of something like this.
Very, very U shape.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
And if you want it, more touching to the bottom, that's fine. But that's similar, or that's really close to what I usually do. If you want it facing a different way, like if you want it looking over to the left or the right, you kind of just move the
U over.
U over.
Now, what about the
So-
iris? Is the iris U-shaped?
So the iris is... No, that is the iris. The iris is the colored part, right?
I think is a pupil.
Pupil.
The pupil is, I usually do like a J or an L shape. The reason being, so the pupil goes in like this.
Okay.
So the reason being that the pupil will also have a reflective area within it. So it takes on the darkest color that I have here in the background, and uses that to be kind of like its reflection spot. The more evil you want a character to look, the more you can change that into a V shape.
Okay. I got you.
So it's more pointed at the bottom. So then it looks more evil.
Now, you got the J. Do you color in the entire J? Like, do you go and make it like another U?
So the J is the last bit that I put in before the reflection spots. So I go in and I color, so I make that U, and then I color in the darkest part, kind of like this area here.
Okay.
And then a lighter part, kind of the here. Like, and you can take the darkest part and color it all in, and then fill it in with the lighter color afterwards. But a lighter color in kind of in that next 2/3, and then kind of going from in this area here.
Okay.
In that circled area, that little jelly bean shape, like I put in lighter colors as I go.
And where are the reflections going?
Then there's another lighter color going in that small circle there. And then white reflection spots are kind of in two spots. Kind of in those two areas.
So you don't color in the J black.
So I color in the J black before I put the two reflection spots in.
Correct, but what I'm saying is, you got the J. Do you take?
No, I don't color in that whole area. I just
That's
put
what I'm
a
saying.
J in there.
You just put a J. You don't make the whole area black. Is what I'm saying.
No.
Okay.
Nope.
You just draw a J and then color in everything else.
Yep.
Okay. That was my question, because
so
I was like,
color in everything, then put the J in, so you don't have to fill in the other
so
area
the pupil
where
would
J
have
is.
the color of the iris, technically.
Yes.
Okay.
And then the more cutesy you want your mini to look, the more that you put in more white reflection spots.
Okay.
So the cutesier you want something to look like, you'll have 2 or 3 more like little tiny ones.
Okay.
Like just tiny little dots.
And those are pure white?
Those are pure white, yes.
Okay.
You can put in different shapes in there too. If you want like a star in there, you can go ahead and put a star if you want as a reflection spot. Like, there's so much that you can do with them. Like this one.
Oh, hold on. All right.
This girl,
Put your
I've
hand behind it.
done.
There we go.
So
Oh, yeah.
it's, yep. And instead of a J, I put a diamond for the pupil. So you can do different things with the eye, and experiment with it yourself.
Do you have a model that you've done like the J eye on that you can show us?
Yes. So this one's a little bit more on the cutesy side.
Okay, and you
Nice.
definitely have the black eyeliner on the bottom, but not the entire area.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
And you really can see that lighter color on the
Mm-hmm.
bottom of the eye, just like when
Oh,
you're
yeah.
painting gemstones.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, painting chibi eyes is almost like painting gemstones.
Looking for another model. All right, there you go. So pretty much the white is almost taking up the entire J area,
Yeah.
the entire pupil area for
yeah,
on this one at least.
Yeah, it'll go and intrude on it. I'm trying to get it to focus and it's not focusing. Urgh. Why is it not working now? I don't know why it's not working. But yeah, it'll intrude on that black area, so don't be like, oh, I gotta fill this in, or I gotta, it'll intrude on there.
Do you suggest getting like pictures of anime characters, sort of like as a reference?
Reference, yeah. Whenever I see an interesting eye on like an anime that I'm watching, I'll stop and I'll snap a photo of it so that I have it as reference for later.
Yeah, so that's a good. I did a lot for a lot of things. I'll Google search whatever I'm painting to try and get a reference. I learned that from a young lady who started painting snakes and just got a handbook on snakes and like did the most amazing snakes I've seen ever. And it was like her third model or some such shit. It was crazy, but having a reference there, it's much easier to work off a reference than not.
Yes.
Correct. Well, it's like I looked up.
I
looked up,
in most of my-
Bride of Frankenstein.
Yeah,
as a picture.
But yeah, every time someone will go like, hey, how do you do this? I'm like, reference photos, reference photos, reference photos. Because whatever you see in your mind's eye is it's different from when you have a reference photo and you're copying it from a reference photo.
Yeah, thinking back to art class, most of my better projects were based off a reference photo. It was a long time ago, though. Like 1991, long time ago. Oh crap! It's after 9, Gonzo.
It is. It is time for the media section.
Media section.
There's the media. We were just getting on about eyes. So, when you do classes, which someone actually, I can't remember who said that they still have the chibi that you did at Warfare Weekend in 2019, which I think is really cool to see that, to hear that, because that makes me happy that people are still doing that. You concentrate on your chibi class more on the eyeballs than everything else, correct? Because that's really the unique feature of the chibi, besides the oversized head and everything. The eyes are the eyes are pretty much the focal point of the model. So when you look at it, you're immediately drawn to the eyeballs, correct? Because they're the center thing. Okay. All right.
And then I do a little bit on hair because there's so much hair on a chibi model that like you just need to do the highlights. And that translates back to regular miniatures because if you do the highlights in like bands instead of like the whole hair strand, it's a lot better.
Would you say that the triangle to focus a model on a chibi is hair and then eyes rather than like a normal model where you want the other parts to be further down to sort of center your vision on the model?
I would say eyes first.
Eyes first? Okay.
Do you want
eyes,
ants?
hair,
Because that's how you get
Because that's one of the things I learned from some guys is that there's a focus on a model that's sort of like a triangle, and you want to make sure it draws your eyes to the center of that so you're seeing everything.
Yeah. Yeah, if your eyes on a chibi are good, like it'll be directly, like, because we're trained to look at faces, right? We'll directly go to the eyes.
Interesting.
Oh,
okay.
Gonzo, the one other thing. When you're painting the other eye after you've started the first one, right? Flip the model upside down.
Yep. It's a technique I've heard tons about painting eyeballs. That way your model is looking in the right direction type thing.
Yeah. Yep. Because our eyes or our brains are trained to focus on faces. So once we look at it, like it's so hard to kind of get that the evenness of the eyes the same. But if you flip it upside down, you're not looking at a face anymore, so you're seeing more just shapes.
Yeah, you want the focus. Don't not be like my eyes.
Unless you intend to do that.
Yeah,
Unless you want to paint something like John, that's fine. I don't know why you would, but feel free.
I painted Morticia a little bit like John, and I was like, fuck it, John has eyes like that. Why can't Morticia?
So this is a section of the podcast where we talk about media. We have 2 rating scales. First rating scale is A, from Cats to Casablanca. Cats being the worst movie ever made, and Casablanca being the greatest movie ever made. And the best one is our rating scale of 1 to 5. The fewer the space herpes, the better.
0 to 5, technically.
0 5, yeah. 0 to 5. 0 space herpes is a perfect movie. Or it's near perfect to get to. 5 space herpes is like the worst movie that you can think of. So, being the special guest...
Which would be Cats, in case you were wondering.
Yeah, Cats is the worst movie ever made. You get to go with your first review. Have you seen any movies, TV shows, anything you've watched recently?
Oh, man. I mean, I watch anime more than movies and whatnot.
That's valid.
That's valid, yeah. What's one that you've watched a lot of, maybe that you've concluded recently, or like a season you've concluded?
So there's one of my favorites from this past season of anime is Horimiya. It is so good. So good.
Where do you watch them? Where do you watch most of your anime on, by the way?
He's just everywhere. So we have Crunchyroll, a thing to subscription to Crunchyroll, Funimation. There's some on Netflix now, and some on Hulu. So we watch it off of all four platforms, and then some of the older ones are on Amazon Prime. So. And
how do you spell this anime?
Horimiya, Horimiya.
Start again. H-O... Or type it in chat. Yeah.
Type it in chat.
Yeah, because I'm like...
What kind of anime is it?
Yeah.
It's a romance.
Okay.
/ slice of life. So it goes and follows these, especially these 2 characters, Hori and Miyamura, and it kind of shows their relationship. It kind of shows their growth for each of them, and it's pretty much 2 high schoolers that one of them, the guy is like this really depressive, like he's just at school he's emo, and like nobody likes him because he's so gloomy. And he actually, outside of school, he's all tatted up and he has piercings in his ears and stuff like that, which for high schoolers in Japan, that's a no-no.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Hori, like, they see each other out of school, and she sees that he's all dressed up, and that he's actually like has a different side to him that he doesn't show other people. And then for Hori at home, like, she's at school, she's like this really successful girl. Everyone wants to be her. She's popular. And at home, she's pretty much like a second mom to her younger brother. And so they kind of see each other outside of school, and they're just like, oh, like, we have these different facets of ourselves, and kind of like grow from there. So it's a really good one.
It's actually really new too. It
is.
It just started airing this year.
Yep. This past season.
Well, they showed
anime.
January 10th, 2021 was its first air date of episode 1.
Yep. And it's just really good. Like, I was bawling episode 4 because because Miyamura was me when I was a little kid, being like shunned and like just because he looks different and stuff like that. So like I just was bawling. So I give it a Casablanca.
Oh,
good.
Yeah,
that's good.
A perfect score.
It's so good, so good.
And how many space herpes then?
0 space herpes.
Okay, good.
Is that one on Netflix or Amazon Prime?
No, that one is on
Crunchyroll.
Funimation, I think.
Oh, I have a Funimation account.
Do not have Funimation. They dropped Robotech, so I will not have Funimation. Okay, I own Robotech on DVD, so it really shouldn't be a point for me. But
yeah, it's on Funimation. Yep.
All right. Kathy, what you got for this week?
I I watched Young Sherlock Holmes today.
Oh, man.
Shit!
That's old school.
1985.
I love
Yeah.
Young Sherlock Holmes. I haven't
I
seen
had
it in a while,
never seen it. It may
Oh.
shock you to learn, but it's funny because I have been, well, this last Friday on my Pulp Fiction Friday, I was reading Sherlock Holmes. I read 2
I
Sherlock
saw.
Holmes stories, and I have always loved Sherlock Holmes. When I was a little kid, my dad and I used to watch the old Basil Rathbone, Nigel Bruce ones from like the 1930s and 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And and I've read books, and I've read books by people where it's inspired by Holmes with a detective, and where it's more like Cthulhu, like more Lovecraftian, sort of Sherlock Holmes kind of thing, which is interesting. And I really enjoyed this one. This is one where I was paying attention to the movie the entire time because every part of it had something that mattered in it.
Yes.
And I
It's a
didn't want to.
Spielberg movie.
Yeah,
I
Huh?
know that.
and that
It's a
stained glass.
Spielberg
There's
movie.
a period where they did like a stained glass knight coming out and attacking somebody.
Yes.
Yep.
That was like a pivotal moment in like
Sci-fi.
computer
Yeah.
in computer
That was-
graphics for a movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah,
That
I remember
was,
that. That was
amazing,
pretty
and
trippy.
They had a lot of stop motion there too, didn't they? For all the little things coming to life when people were hallucinating,
Yeah,
Yes.
absolutely. And
which was also really amazing work.
Yes.
The story was really fun, but all I could think of before they mentioned that there was an archaeological discovery was, this is the late 1800s, and this type of Egyptian artwork had not yet been discovered. That was the only thing. That was the only thing in it that was like a point that stuck in my brain, which is really nothing. I mean, that's just being picky,
Yeah.
you know? But
I recall really enjoying the movie. I haven't seen it in a long time, but it was on heavy rotation when I was a kid.
it
Oh, yeah.
holds up. It holds up because it's a period piece. You know?
Yes. God, period pieces hold up so well. I love it.
I'm gonna have to go watch it.
It's
actually,
good.
yeah, it's a good Sherlock Holmes because he does everything. Oh, well, this has happened to this because of this and this and this, and connects all the dots, and still follows along the good Sherlock Holmes theme.
It is a
it's
little
very
cheesy
family
because-
friendly kind of one.
Mhm.
So
It's a little cheesy because he meets Watson before they would meet normally, but I give it a pass because it's done well enough and is enjoyable enough.
Yeah.
yeah. My dad didn't care for it, but that's because he's very old school Sherlock Holmes, and I think he just didn't like that somebody was fucking with the canon in that way.
Does he like the Bandersnatch Cumberbund ones?
I don't think so.
Oh, that's too bad because they're so good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're good.
Yeah,
Well-
I like those. I liked Elementary too. I thought that was a really fresh take on it.
Yes.
I haven't seen that, but I think it might be on my streaming service. I might check it out. What do you think? What did you give Young Sherlock Holmes? How many space herpes?
Maybe 1.
I can agree with that. It's, I mean, a little YA at points. Which
Yeah.
Adults gets a little tiresome, but I recall it being very good. I enjoyed the crap out of it. I've probably seen it a
I
dozen
felt
times.
it was a little needless that the girl dies at the end, you know?
Yeah. Well, I think they're,
Spoilers! The girl
I
dies
think they're
at the
trying
end.
to I think they're trying to set up Sherlock Holmes, personality points for future. I give them a hat
but
off
I
for
still feel like that particular one was,
yeah.
you know.
Well, they set up a lot of stuff in this. I think maybe even they set up too much, but I still enjoy the crap.
They were trying a little too hard with shoehorning every
Yeah.
aspect of Sherlock Holmes' personality into just one
It-
caper.
It reminds me of Solo, where they shoehorn everything into one movie. You're like, you don't need to do it all.
You need
It's
to do
okay.
that. It's
But, much like Solo, I enjoy the crap out of it.
he didn't have to. Yeah, they didn't have to form his entire personality in the span of a week
Yeah.
or a month, rather.
Wow, that's by chance he does that with Watson. Holy crap!
Yeah. But so yeah, but otherwise I loved it. I thought it was great. I would watch it again. So yeah, One Space for Fee.
Is it still on Amazon Prime?
It is for free. Free.
Excellent.
Okay. John, what you got for us this week?
Well, I watched, since apparently Paramount Plus, after rebranding, actually has a ton of movies. Unlike their earlier, when they were CBS All Access, they did not have a ton of movies. I watched Mission Impossible 2. And I am here to tell you, it is by far the worst movie in that series. And it's not close.
Do they have the first one on there?
They do. I love the first one.
I've never seen any of the Mission Impossible movies.
So the first three were cool because they came out relatively within decent time of each other, because they're all a different genre. The first one is very much just sort of that thriller. The second one, which I will talk about very shortly, is much more actiony, and the third one is sort of a combination of two, and they have a different feel to them. Now, after the third one, the quality very much ramps up, and they become very much just the same genre, if you will, the same meta genre of movie, and very good. But 2, I'm here to tell you, is the fucking worst. I'm sorry, John Woo. I love you, dog, but you should not have made this fucking movie. It is... I'm not going to blame him, because some of this has got to be studio interference, because it is egregious in points in like ways that John Woo doesn't normally do. I mean, there are scenes that are very John Woo, doves flying or whatever, birds flying while the action's going on, people walking through fire very dramatically. It's very dramatic at points, and it doesn't deserve that. The visuals are way cooler than the actual plot of the movie. The plot is thus that there is a disease, Chimera, and there is a cure, Bellerophon, as is appropriate. And the bad guy pretends to be Ethan Hunt, who is Tom Cruise's character, to get it, but only gets the cure, not the disease. He needs the disease to make the cure worth it. And it's also kind of poignant, as the disease is sort of like a super flu, which, I mean, we're kind of dealing with now.
Yep.
But in any case, it's like they overuse the masks. Like, the first Mission Impossible, they use the masks a lot.
Oh, yeah.
They overuse the crap out of the masks in this, and it's why in later movies they have sort of eased back on the whole super, mask hiding. But the real problem with this movie is the early pace is glacial as fuck. I'm like, are you going to go somewhere? I mean, come on, dude. I want something to happen, something interesting. And then the end of the movie, the last, 45 minutes is just fucking pure action all the way through. And you're like, whoa, slow it down, spread this shit out. But no. It is egregious in every way for action. I mean, there's one point where they drive motorcycles at each other, leap off, and, collide into each other. And I'm like, no, ain't none of you getting up from that shit. and it's just very needless, very, very much a misstep in an otherwise amazing franchise. Because I'm here to tell you, the Mission Impossible franchise is one of the best. I mean, the latest movie was movie 8-ish, 7 or 8. Then I come out with the next one, and the quality since this movie has been amazing. But this is just, oh my god. It is probably John Woo's worst movie. I would like to think that even Hard Target, his movie with Jean-Claude Van Damme in the U.S., is better than this movie. And that's saying something, because that movie ain't exactly amazing. The action is very John Woo, but it's like John Woo to 11, and not the good 11, the bad 11. And just so over pretentious almost. Calm the fuck down with this shit. They have flashbacks and all this stuff, and it's just needless. I'm overall going to give it. I'm going to give it 2.5. It's an average action movie, unfortunately. It's not great. It's not terrible. I mean, it's better than a lot of movies. I've seen worse movies recently, but it's just not worth. If you're going to watch Mission Impossible series, if you can't find this one, it's okay. Don't watch it. You ain't missing shit. Go 1, 3, and etc., and you'll be fucking happy. Trust me.
My one that I want to talk about is I watched Hook. It was on Netflix and hey, watch it again. And I was
Shit.
like, I needed some good, just drown out type thing because I'm sick. I'm not paying attention to a lot of stuff. And damn, that movie's still good.
Yeah.
I miss Robin Williams. That man was pure genius. And I'm gonna say, you see the kids and playing, the lost kids and everything, and you're seeing them, and Rufio's on the screen, and you just start chanting, yo, yeah, you start doing that. You go, Rufio, Rufio, and then he lands, and you're just like, man. I mean, it's got a great message behind it, even though you see it and everything. The bangarang, I mean, everything about it. I looked up all the other, the actors, where they've been, what they've been doing, and of course the person that plays Rufio's done his stuff in Avatar and all this other thing, and he's done a lot of voice acting stuff and everything. But it's just really, really good. It's very timeless classic type thing in my opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. Absolutely. It's
You could have anybody watch it now, and maybe the special effects, the wire work isn't as good as what it would be today, but you don't care because there's such good energy from the movie. It's one of Robin Williams' movies where he doesn't play the silly, crazy, spastic guy at the beginning. He's taken a little bit more serious. His role is more serious, and the character is more serious until things pass along and it gets better, and he remembers who he is and everything. And I just like, man, I was like, this is just such a good damn movie. Especially when he starts playing and the scene switches. They're all trying to eat and there's nothing there, and then he's like, there's no food, and then it switches where he actually starts playing and everything, and it all switches to food being there. It's just such a good, wholesome, feel good movie. You are like, yes, this is awesome. It's just beyond belief amazing. I give it 0 space herpes. It's one of my, it's a good feel good movie that I could just sit there and watch. It's like one of those movies that, like Big Trouble in Little China. I could watch that any time of the day, any whatever. It doesn't bother me one bit. Type thing. I really, really enjoy it more than anything. I like it a lot. So, Yeji, you're gonna spin us out on this. Give us one more review.
Oh, I don't know.
could be anything. Book, music, anything.
Another anime?
I'm just trying to think what was another really good one this past season. It's so hard, guys. Why are you putting me on the spot?
Like I said, doesn't have to be anime. It could be anything. Like I listened to some music earlier that was recorded during the quarantine with a bunch of artists from various bands getting together to make a remake of a song. It was super awesome.
Oh, that's cool. Oh,
Yeah.
Going on the Sherlock Holmes trail, I watched The Regulars on Netflix. And that was an interesting
Irregulars?
take. The Irregulars, yeah.
I was just looking at that. How was it?
It was an interesting take on Sherlock Holmes. And especially Watson. I mean, it was interesting.
It got canceled, by the way.
Oh, did it?
Yeah, they just came out this week that it got canceled. It was
I mean,
it was okay. I would give you,
like I
it was
think I would
iffy.
give it like I would give it like a 2 space herpes.
That,
2 or 3,
sort of,
yeah.
sort of matches up what I
2.5.
heard.
2.5.
I think it's a
know
little
who
quirky for the average person.
Yeah. I know who the irregulars are supposed to be
Mhm.
in
Yes.
Sherlock Holmes. The kids that
Yeah.
you often would see helping him with certain things, or running errands for him, or guarding things for him, keeping lookout and stuff like that. So I don't know. I thought it sounded like it would be interesting to have a show based on them.
Yeah, but like I think it was supposed to kind of say that it was them, but like they also made it like, do you guys want spoilers? No, no
Yeah,
spoilers.
that's fine.
It's fine.
They also
Yeah,
made the 2 main girls like his daughters. So
So that's weird.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, so most of the reviews I heard said it was probably a little too quirky from the average person, not really something the average person's going to get into. And that's unfortunate reality of some of the TV we're going to like is that we're not necessarily average. We like the quirky.
Mm-hmm. But I mean, it was still enjoyable.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. I think I gave it like a 2.5 to type rating because it was just meh, but it wasn't like, oh my god, I can want this more. It did really well on Netflix, which I thought was weird that it didn't, get renewed.
Might have been too expensive. That's
It
a
could
lot
have
of
been
it, unfortunately. A lot of series get canceled or scaled back because of expense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Well, guys, that is our podcast for the day. We want to thank everybody for listening, for making it. We want to thank Yeji for coming and hanging out with us and teaching us all about the Chibis.
Thanks
Don't
for
forget to
having
check
me.
them out. Mods, give them a quick hit on there and give a shout out to Snickernack so we can see and watch them do their thing. We're going to send you the Pyro Club. And,
What?
yeah. What?
How odd.
Let's
The
raid.
Pyro Club, where I was playing D&D on Thursday, but right now they're doing their Monster of the Week adventure called Harlan's Heroes.
So, for More Than Dice, I'm Gonzo.
I'm John.
I'm Kathy.
And that is... Say your name.
Yeji.
Yeji. Everybody be
Bye-bye.
safe. Take care of yourself. Dance music.
Remember, Monday Night Mech Warrior tomorrow night.
Oh yeah, don't forget Monday Night Mech Warrior. And
Yeah.
don't forget Kathy streaming Tuesday through Thursday painting, and Friday is Pulp Fiction Friday.
Pulp Chicken Friday.
Pulp Chicken Friday.
Pulp Chicken
Yep.
Friday. Hit that raid button, people. Go see them.
Pulp Chicken.
I know we're not on anymore, but I will be reading more Sherlock Holmes.